This episode of the Demonic Compendium contains spoilers for the following games. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to a fatherly new episode of the Demonic Compendium, the show where I discuss the mythology, design, and game history of your favorite Megami Tensei demons. Happy Saturnalia, my friends! I hope you all remembered to leave out rocks and aloe juice last night, or whatever we're supposed to do, because today, we're talking about Saturnus. If you like what I do, please consider commenting, subscribing, maybe even checking out the Patreon. It helps a lot. Thanks, moving on. Saturnus, which by the way is a pretty outdated spelling, it's usually just called Saturn, is a Roman god of agriculture, time, and wealth. And yes, his name is where we got both the planet Saturn as well as Saturday. As a deity of agriculture, his followers would celebrate the end of the harvest season with a roaring party called Saturnalia. Sacrifices were made, alcohol was consumed, and cross-dressing was commonplace. Typically celebrated today, the 17th of December, it was a memorable holiday experience that, over centuries, slowly became part of our modern Christmas traditions. Now, Saturnus is often seen as the Roman equivalent of the Greek titan Cronus, and there are certainly some similarities. Both were once ruthless figures who attempted to defy the fate that they would be overthrown by one of their children by eating all of their children, and both were tricked into eating a rock instead of Jupiter in Roman myth and Zeus in Greek lore. However, the stories after they were usurped vary quite a bit. Cronus was sent to Tartarus, where he was tortured alongside the other titans, while Saturnus was supposedly banished to the mortal realm, where he became the respected figure of agriculture that we mentioned before. Now, I'm going to need you all to remember that because it's going to be important in a bit. Saturnus' compendium entry from Persona 3 Reload refers to him as the Roman god of agriculture. He is commonly identified with Cronus. In an attempt to prevent his destiny, he ate his children, but was overthrown as was fated. Design-wise, this is honestly kind of a mess here, because while yes, Saturnus and Cronus are often used interchangeably between Roman and Greek culture, so many aspects of this conico design have way more to do with Cronus than Saturnus himself. Remember how I said Cronus was sent to Tartarus and Saturnus wasn't, instead using his banishment to become a harvest god with a prosperous reign and get his own festival and stuff? Well, while in Tartarus, Cronus was set on fire, disemboweled, had his arms and legs torn off, and was even castrated with a sickle. Yeah, when you pay attention to which body parts are missing here and where the fire is coming from, it really seems like this design is supposed to be Cronus, not Saturnus. However, Saturnus was sometimes known as the Black Sun since he was worshipped and celebrated at a time when the days were shorter, and I like seeing that in his stomach as a nod to his mythology, and possibly also in reference to the rock he ate instead of his son. Son. Homonyms are fun. I want to be clear, it's in no way a bad design, it's just one that clearly fits the Greek counterpart a lot better than the Roman one that it's actually attached to. Also, I'm not positive on this one, but it really feels like Kaneko was drawing a bit from like Ultraman or some other tokusatsu hero for the figure itself. I couldn't really find any confirmation on that though. As far as game history goes, Saturnus shows up here and there and often has a few distinct roles when he does, especially in more recent titles. Saturnus appeared in the original Persona 3 trilogy as a member of the Star Arcana, but without anything else too noteworthy about him. However, in Persona 3 Reload, players will only be able to fuse this figure by completing the linked episode events with Ryoji Mochizuki and obtaining the music box item that he gives to Makoto on December 31st. While returning in Persona 4, again as a member of the Star Arcana without too much to focus on, Saturnus has a slightly larger role in the Persona 4 anime, where he's summoned by you and represents his bond with Teddy of the Star Social Link. While absent from other, more recent Persona titles, he supposedly was going to appear in Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth, but was cut from the game. Much like how they cut off his dick. Saturnus' largest role in the franchise is one of his most recent, as he appears as one of the newly added demons in Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance. He appears on the Canon of Vengeance path in the Taito region of Dot and tasks the Nahobino with the quest, God of Old, Devourer of Kin. Players can find Saturnus in Ueno Park, in the same spot where Zeus hangs out in the original SMT V, and the god asks the Nahobino to kill Zeus for him. Again, definitely treating him more like Cronus instead of Saturnus here. Seeing as how players have to kill Zeus anyway as part of the story, it's a pretty straightforward task to do. If you killed Zeus before ever meeting up with Saturnus and accepting his request, he does have an extra line of dialogue addressing this. Either way, after reporting to Saturnus that Zeus is dead, he asks if the Nahobino wants to get adopted by him so we can become his son so he can eat us. Anyway, players fight off Saturnus and unlock him for fusion for our trouble. Since Saturnus does view us as his son, we sort of help fulfill the prophecy that leads to his downfall here. Given Saturnus' return in games like Vengeance, Reload, and Soul Hackers 2 after being gone for a while, I anticipate we'll be seeing a lot more of his sunny disposition again sooner rather than later. As we head into a bright new year full of new possibilities for the franchise, only time will tell. And there you have it, Saturnus, the sickle-swinging spreader of seeds and surprisingly dissimilar correspondent of Cronus. Did I leave out something that you thought was important? Was I just plain wrong about something? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to let me know who you'd like to see me talk about in future episodes. That's going to do it for this episode of the Demonic Compendium, and I will see you next time. But be careful while you rest that a demon doesn't take over your body.